I was going to bring my iPad, but I forgot. So. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Girivardha Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Vallabha Girivardha Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashoda Nandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivajikacharya Asto Tarasati Śrīmad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada ki Jaya Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajakacharya Ashto Tadasari Śrīmad Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Prem Se Kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shama Kundarada Kundagiri Govardhana ki Sri Vrindavan Dham ki Sri Mayapur Navadvip Dham ki Sri Purushottam Chitra ki Sri Ganga Maya ki Jai Sri Jamuna Maya ki Jai Bhakti Devi ki Jai Tulsi Devi Maharani ki Jai Harinam Sankirtana ki Jai Kvantaraj Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki Jai Nitai Gaura Premanandi. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to the assembled devotees. Oh, glories to Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga. Oh, glories to Srila Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading from Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, Canto 8. We've got the growling door. Canto 8, Withdrawal of the Cosmic Creations. Chapter 12, Mohini Murti bewilders Lord Shiva. Text number 17. Is that right? Shri Shukuru Vacha Iti Bhuvano Bhagavam Tatraivantaradhiyata Savatascharayam Chakshu Bhava Aste Sahomaya. Sri Shuka Uvacha Iti Bruvano Bhagavams Tatraivantaradhiyata Savatascharayam Chakshu Bhava Aste Sahomaya. Shri Shuka Uvacha Iti Bruvano Bhagavams Tatraivantaradhiyata Savatascharayam Chakshu Bhava Aste Sahomaya. Sri Shukuvacha Iti Bruvano Bhagavams Tatraivantaradhiyata Savatascharayam Chakshu Bhava Aste Sahomaya. Sri Shuka Uvacha Iti Bruvano Bhagavams Tatraivantaradhiyata Sarvatascharayam Chakshu Bhava Aste Sahomaya. Sri Sukuvacha Iti Bruvano Bhagavams Tatraivantaradhiyata Savatascarayam Chakshur Bhava Aste Sahomaya Sri Shuka Uvacha. Sri Sukadeva Goswami said, Iti, thus, Bruvanaha, while speaking, Bhagavan, Lord Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Tatra, there, Eva, immediately, Antaradhayata, disappeared from the vision of Lord Shiva and his associates, Saravataha, everywhere, Charayan, moving, Chakshuhu, the eyes, Bhavaha, Lord Shiva, Aste, remained, Saha Ummaya, with his wife, Uma. Sukadeva Goswami continued after speaking in this way, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, immediately disappeared. And Lord Shiva remained there with Uma, looking for him all around with moving eyes. Tato dadasa pavane varastriyam vichitra pushparuna palavadrume vikridyatim vikridyatim kandukalilaya lasad dukula paryastad nitamba mekkalam. Thereafter, in a nice forest nearby full of trees with reddish pink leaves and varieties of flowers, Lord Shiva saw a beautiful woman playing with a ball. Her hips were covered with a shining sari and ornamented with a belt. Avartana Vatana Kampitastana Prakrishta Haroru Barai Pade Pade Prabhajyamanam Iva Madhyatas Chalat Pada Pravalam Nayatim Tatastataha. Because the ball was falling down and bouncing up, as she played with it, her breasts trembled, and because of the weight of those breasts and her heavy flower garlands, her waist appeared to be all but breaking at every step, as her two soft feet, which were reddish like coral, moved here and there. Pade, pade. Dikshu Brahmat Kanduka Chapalar Brisham Pradvigna Tarayatalola Lauchanam Svakarna Vibrajita Kundal Lolasat Kapola Nila Lakka Manditananam. The woman's face was decorated by broad, beautiful, restless eyes, which moved as the ball bounced here and there from her hand. The two brilliant earrings on her ears decorated her shining cheeks like bluish reflections. And the hair scattered on her face made her even more beautiful to see. Slatat tukulam kabarim chavichutam sanayatim vamakarena valguna vinignatim anyakarena kandukam vimohayantim jagadatmamayaya. As she played with the ball, the sari covering her body became loose and her hair scattered. She tried to bind her hair with her beautiful left hand, and at the same time she played with the ball by striking it with her right hand. This was so attractive that the Supreme Lord, by his internal potency, in this way captivated everyone. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita 7:14, it is said, Daivihi Esha Gunamayi Mama Maya Dharatyaya. The external potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is extremely strong. Indeed, everyone is fully captivated by her activities. Lord Shambhu, Shiva, was not to be captivated by the external potency, but because Lord Vishnu wanted to captivate him also, he exhibited his internal potency to act the way that his external potency acts to captivate ordinary living entities. Lord Vishnu can captivate anyone, even such a strong personality as Lord Shambhu. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmaye Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadaha Mahiyam Dadati Sva Padantikam Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langdayate Gurim Yat Kripa Tamaham Bande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam. Two forms of Lord Vishnu's energy, two features of Lord Vishnu's energy are described here, or mentioned here, in the purport by Srila Prabhupada. And so Prabhupada makes a point that everyone is fully captivated by the activities of the Gunamayi. Daivihi Esho Gunamayi. That's the Mahamaya. Very sweet, huh? It's good to have flowers that smell rather than the flowers that you can't smell anything. It makes you wonder why we offer them. It's not worth it, really. It's a waste of time. Or we need to put the effort into getting real flowers. And I think these roses have come from the farm. Right? That's why they smell fragrant. Whereas those buds that you buy in a market, they're just as good as paper flowers, really. So here, Mahamaya, Prabhupada says, Krishna says, Mama Maya Durataya, very difficult to overcome the material energy, which is bewildering everybody. But it's mentioned, I don't know if it's coming up or if it's... I think it's in purport's coming up, but it's interesting to note that the demons were attracted to Mohini Murti, but the demigods, to enjoy her, right? But the demigods weren't affected in that way. Right? Very interesting. So the devotees are able to transcend the influence of the Mahamaya, the influence of the external energy, because they're attracted to a higher taste, which is the engagement in devotional service, which means they're under the influence of the Yoga Maya, or they're under the influence of the internal energy rather than the external energy. And that shows that the internal energy or the spiritual energy is more potent than the material energy. Because when one's fully absorbed in the Yoga Maya, then the attraction for Mahamaya diminishes until it disappears. Right? But Lord Shiva wanted to be bewildered by, he wanted to experience and observe that potency of the Lord. But it wasn't going to be the material energy, because Lord Shiva is a very advanced, Vaishnavanam Yata Sambhu. He's the topmost of the Vaishnavas. So always engaged in the Lord's service. So how was he to be bewildered? He couldn't be bewildered by the material energy. So how did Lord Vishnu bewilder him? Prabhupada says here, Lord Shambhu, Shiva, was not to be captivated by the external potency. Right? He's a devotee. So how was Lord Vishnu going to captivate him? He's already captivated, because he's a devotee. So interesting what Prabhupada says here, the crux of it. He exhibited his internal potency to act the way that his external potency acts to captivate ordinary living entities. Lord Vishnu can captivate anyone. The spiritual energy is so attractive that Krishna can attract anyone by his spiritual potency. But according to the desires of the living entity, he gives them a choice. You know, it's why we do Harinam, Sankirtan, is to attract people to the spiritual energy, the spiritual, the Lord appears, especially in the Kali Yuga, of course, any time, but especially gives potency to the Sankirtan, the chanting of Hare Krishna in the Kali Yuga. And people are attracted. We were attracted to the chanting of Hare Krishna. More powerful than the material energy is the spiritual, internal, the Antaranga Shakti. And certainly manifest in the form of the Sankirtan movement. All attractive. Krishna's all attractive. His spiritual energy also all attractive. We were looking up the meaning of Atita Guna Sundari's name. Atita Guna Sundari. Actually, you know what? You can get at least I'm using Perplexity. It's an AI tool, right? And you can give it Sanskrit verses, and you know what it does? It translates them, and it doesn't do a bad job. got to watch out for the commentary that it puts up there. Some of the commentary is a bit wonky. You know, it's tinged by impersonalist, conclusions. But it's interesting. You can give it verses that Prabhupada, sometimes Prabhupada quotes verses in the Bhagavatam, in the purports, right? And, for Sanskrit pundits, it's okay, they can work it out. But I like to find out what it means sometimes. Because Prabhupada's usually, he's written it in the purport. He'll quote a verse, then he'll write it. But it's always nice to have a look at what the meaning of the Sanskrit words are. So there are AI tools now that will do the translation for you. It's pretty interesting. So, Lord Shiva ordinarily would not be bewildered by the material energy because he's such an elevated devotee. He's transcendental. So, in this particular situation then, the Lord exhibits his internal potency to act like the material energy that captivates ordinary living entities, but in this case, special case, to bewilder Lord Shiva. And so we're getting this very evocative description of the beauty of Mohini Murti. Is it? Yeah, Mohini Murti. Which is a prelude to the bewilderment of Lord Shiva. So as Prabhupada mentions here, Lord Vishnu can captivate anyone. And usually he does it through his material energy. Right? Daivihi yesha gunamayi mama maya durataya. Very difficult to overcome. Why we need to have the association of the devotees. Right? The beauty of the association of the devotees is that within that association there's a spiritual protection. There's the spiritual energy is present in the sangha, the satsanga, right? Lord Chaitanya mentions the quality of a devotee, asatsanga tyag. Right? Asatsanga tyag. One has to give up the association of those who are interested in the material energy, in material pursuits. Asatsanga tyag, give up, renounce. Vaishnav-Acharya. This is the behaviour of a Vaishnava. And in the activities of the Vaishnava, the spiritual energy is present. In the chanting of Hare Krishna, in the hearing of the Śrīmad Bhāgavatam, in the worship of the deities. I was reading in Gagamuni's book. Prabhupada was instructed by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur that the Westerners should only worship Lord Jagannath. Right? Not Radha and Krishna. And it wasn't until temples had many devotees that Prabhupada stipulated, if you want to have a temple with Radha Krishna worship, you have to have at least 10 brahmanas. Right? 10 brahmanas. And of course, in those days, that's all the devotees did. Right? They either went on Harinam, or they went on book distribution, or back to Godhead. One of the things that Gargamuni really spearheaded was he started printing the Back to Godhead. And in those days it was just a mimeograph, like the precursor to a photocopier. But it was a very different technology in those days, what they call a mimeograph. Or we used to call, the machines that we used in Australia, it was called a Gestetner, German printing, and you did it by hand. Right? And you made stencils with a special paper that then you rolled onto the drum of the machine, and then that's how they did the first Back to Godhead magazines, all collated by hand. And by 1968, 69, they were distributing hundreds of thousands of Back to God. That was being, it was being printed then in a printing press. And so the devotees were going out. Tamal Krishna Maharaj organised it was Tamal Krishna Das then, in Los Angeles, Harinam parties. And they would go out and hand out the Back to Godhead magazines. People resisted the Back to Godhead magazine. So then Gargamuni started Spiritual Sky, incense. Right? And people were attracted to the incense, so they'd give the incense and a Back to Godhead and ask for a donation, and people would give. And he says people like strawberry and all these odd flavours. I remember before I became a devotee, actually, that I used to buy the Spiritual Sky incense. Can't remember one of the shops somewhere in Adelaide. But the original deity installed in San Francisco was Lord Jagannath. And the rationale being that Lord Jagannath has been worshipped by anybody, even the meat eaters. Right? And Prabhupada makes a comment that they don't offer meat to Lord Jagannath in Jagannath Puri, but the pandas mix fish with the prasadam after they've offered it. Ugh. Can you imagine that? And he said, and he quotes Prabhupada as saying, and that's why the pandas can't discriminate who's a Vaishnava and who's not. And why they don't allow the Western Vaishnavas to enter the temple. Because they've lost their discrimination as to recognising who's a Vaishnava. Interesting, huh? So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur encouraged Prabhupada, the Westerners can worship Lord Jagannath, right? Because Lord Jagannath will accept worship from anybody. Whereas Radha Krishna worship is far more rigorous. Right? Rules and regulations, punctuality, consistency, quality, high quality. Flowers, fresh flowers offered every day. Huh? Expensive. Huh? The devotees going to the market are always complaining, oh, big flowers are more expensive, we need more money. Huh? So, very interesting. Initially, the devotees were engaged in so much, and this was the emphasis. Prabhupada encouraged the emphasis. Book distribution, Harinam and book distribution. for the masses, right? For the mainstream. And that has potency. It is great attractive potency. Chanting and dancing and feasting. A little bit of philosophy. So that dissolves the power of the material energy. The spiritual energy is more potent than the material energy. And of course, we all have an experience of that. When we chant Hare Krishna, when we study our philosophy, when we absorb ourselves in the lives of the devotees. Even Lord Shiva here. Lord Shiva, he was to be bewildered by Lord Vishnu. Right? He helps demonstrate the potency of the spiritual energy, the power of the spiritual energy to bewilder or to attract. Let's not say to bewilder, although it does. The Maya is the absorption, the full engagement in the experience of Yoga Maya. Very powerful. And attractive and absorbing and engaging, fully engaging. Why the chanting of Hare Krishna is so important? Because that's the engagement that purifies the consciousness. Cheto dapranamarjanam pavamaha davagni nivapanam. It extinguishes the fire of lust, effectively, which is what's being demonstrated here. Desire or lust, calm. For the devotees, there's a strong desire and a strong attachment for rendering service, to be engaged in devotional service. Because that param drishtva, that higher taste, that higher vision, experience, is more attractive than the engagement of, seeking pleasure in the material world. In fact, there's no pleasure in the material world. Gargamuni had, interesting, Gargamuni had problems with his wisdom teeth. And so he went to his mum and asked for a donation to fix up his teeth, right? You know what Prabhupada said to him? He said, for the devotee, and Prabhupada said, I'm going to provide health insurance for you, right? Because Gargamuni was bringing in tens of thousands of dollars, right? Key to Prabhupada's being able to print more and more books and more of the Back to Godhead magazine, right? So Prabhupada said, for the devotees, if they're sick, we should spend as much money as required. And then he said, the wisdom teeth, he said, they're a good example of the material world and how much suffering, we all enjoy eating, right? You all enjoy eating? You all enjoy your teeth being in good shape. Huh? It's very interesting. Our teeth, my dentist told me the other day, he's told me this a couple of times, that teeth are finely calibrated to a fraction of a millimetre. So you can bite things with great accuracy. So finely tuned for enjoyment, right? Chewing things and relishing the taste. Right? But how do you feel when you've got a toothache? How do you feel, Gopa? Very bad. and Zach just had a couple of wisdom teeth pulled out. Great suffering. Confirmed. Confirmed by the buzzing mobile phone. And Prabhupada said, I didn't have any problem with my teeth, but my sister had wisdom teeth trouble. Right? And Prabhupada says she suffered immensely with her wisdom teeth. So material energy is designed, there's an illusion of enjoyment, but the end result, adyanta vanta kuntaya anateshu ramati buddha. What the devotees like to in devotional service, because it's Hare Rama, it's enjoyable. And it takes away the attraction to the material and the suffering also. On the spiritual platform. Very unique. Like Gagamuni's father told him, come home and I'll give you the family business. Right? And Prabhupada said, yeah, okay, yes, that's very good, go home. But then what did his father do? Fed him meat. And then would send the attractive Puerto Rican girls that worked in his factory and he wouldn't, and his father came into his room and he saw that he had an altar, and his father went like a Rajikashipu. He said, what is this nonsense? Right. So his ploy was to pull Gagamuni away from Prabhupada. He really disliked the fact that Prabhupada had taken his sons, his two sons, right? Brahmananda and Gagamuni. So devotees are always attracted to service to Krishna, and from that they get a higher taste, and they're not attracted, or even if they are attracted, as Prabhupada says, everybody's attracted by the material energy, right? What's that? The external potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is extremely strong. Have you noticed that? Indeed, everyone is fully captivated by her activities. Well, yeah. And especially here, we see the bewilderment. Prabhupada says the girls are bewildering the boys, right? And the boys are bewildering the girls. And that's the primary Maya in the material world. It's mentioned in a few purports coming up. So, yeah, why we need to chant Hare Krishna and be engaged in Krishna service. The chanting of Hare Krishna is paramount to us remaining on the spiritual platform, on the spiritual level, in the spiritual realm. And we're active, but it's interesting actually that Prabhupada warned the devotees, don't take on too many big projects. Don't take on activities that are going to burden you with anxiety and too much disturbance. Very interesting. Don't engage in activities that are going to create too much disturbance, because that will detract from one's Krishna consciousness. And then again, the material energy will infiltrate and influence and cause distress, attachment, and then the concomitant, the consequent then troubles that come, being overly attached. And then what happens when you're overly attached? You don't get what you want. What happens? Become angry, frustrated. Then start blaming everybody for what's wrong in the world. Whereas the solution is to chant Hare Krishna and be dependent on Krishna. Let things manifest naturally. So we have to be careful. Be careful of the influence of the material energy. Okay, does anybody have any comments or questions on these points? No? You're happily situated in spiritual energy, huh?
Thank you. So when the Mohini Murti form that was shown to the demigods and the demons, that was the external potency of...
No, internal. Must have been. If it's Mohini Murti, it's not the external energy.
Yeah. No, because the demigods were not...
they weren't bewildered. Yeah, interesting.
They weren't.
Yeah, they weren't. So, Prabhupada makes that comment.
So that's
they weren't.
Why I was just wondering that.
It was because that manifestation was designed to bewilder the demons. That's what it was for, right? And in this case, Mohini Murti's purpose is to bewilder Lord Shiva, specifically. Right?
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
And, to illustrate that who's the supreme person, right? Because there's a bit of a confusion. There are those who worship Lord Shiva, right? And worship him as if he's the supreme.
Yes.
And so this pastime demonstrates who's actually supreme. Yeah. Anything else? Okay. Let's go. Contra Śrīmad Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhaktivedanta ki jai, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Jaya Jaya Radha Ramana Hari Govinda Jaya Jaya Gopal Radha Ramana Hari Govinda
Dasamati Nandana Brajabada Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Yamati Nandana Brajabada Nagara Gokula Ranjana Dasamati Nandana Brajabada Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana Gopi Parana Dhana Magana Manahara Kaliya Damana Vidhana Gopi Parana Dhana Madana Manahara Kaliya Damana Vidhana Dasamati Nandana Brajabada Nagara Dasamati Nandana Brajabada Nagara Gopi Parana Dhana Parana Dhana Madana Manahara Kaliya Damana Vidhana Dasamati Nandana Brajabada Nagara Amara Harinam Amya Vilasa Nabina Nagara Mara Manki Magana Subhasa Amara Harina Amya Vilasa Vikina Purandara Nabina Nagara Bara Manki Magana Subhasa Dasamati Nandana Braja